What if every time we read, we misread? What if language itself deceives us, creating illusions of meaning while hiding its own contradictions? In the works of Paul de Man, literature is not a transparent window to truth, it is a battlefield of rhetoric, where interpretation is never certain, and blindness is built into the act of reading. This is the philosophy that shattered the foundations of literary criticism. For centuries, literary criticism assumed that texts contained stable meanings, that if we analyzed them closely enough, we could uncover the true message behind the words. But Paul de Man saw something different: cracks in the structure, contradictions hidden beneath the surface. De Man argued that every text is filled with rhetorical devices, metaphors, irony, ambiguity, that create illusions of coherence while secretly unraveling meaning. Reading is never straightforward. Every act of interpretation is also an act of misreading. In his famous book Blindness and Insight, de Man showed that critics often believe they have found deep insights in literature, when in reality, they are blind to their own assumptions. The closer we analyze a text, the more it resists our interpretations. Every critic thinks they have uncovered the truth of a text. But de Man shows that every interpretation is shaped by its own rhetorical blindness. Critics think they see clearly, but they are caught in the same linguistic traps as the texts they analyze. De Man introduces a crucial distinction: grammar versus rhetoric. Grammar is the structure of language, the logic of sentences. Rhetoric, on the other hand, is the play of figures, metaphors, and irony that destabilizes meaning. A sentence can say one thing grammatically, but suggest something entirely different rhetorically. This tension between structure and figuration means that meaning is never fixed. It is always in motion, always slipping away. In The Resistance to Theory, de Man takes his argument even further, suggesting that literary theory itself cannot escape the traps of language. The moment we try to analyze meaning, we are caught in the same rhetorical structures that we claim to critique. Literary theory resists itself. It tries to explain language, but in doing so, it becomes entangled in the very structures it seeks to clarify. Meaning is always deferred, always escaping our grasp. De Man's work aligns with deconstruction, the movement led by Jacques Derrida that questioned the very foundation of meaning. If language is unstable, then authorial intention becomes irrelevant. What a writer meant to say is less important than how language reshapes itself in the act of reading. Every text contains undecidability, a space where meaning refuses to be pinned down. The reader does not uncover a single truth, but navigates a field of contradictions, where every reading is haunted by its own misreading. Some critics praise de Man for revealing the hidden complexity of language. Others accuse him of undermining literature itself. If every reading is a misreading, does anything mean anything anymore? De Man never claimed that meaning was impossible, only that meaning is never stable. He does not destroy literature, he forces us to read more carefully, more skeptically, more aware of the ways language tricks us. After de Man's death, a shocking revelation emerged. During World War II, he had written for a pro-Nazi newspaper in occupied Belgium. The man who deconstructed ideology had, in his youth, been complicit in it. The discovery led to fierce debate. Should his work be dismissed, or can his theories still stand on their own? Deconstruction itself was put on trial, as critics questioned whether de Man's philosophy was a way to evade responsibility. Despite the controversies, de Man's insights continue to shape literary studies. His work forces us to recognize that language is never innocent, that every text contains contradictions, and that reading is not about finding the meaning, but engaging with the instability of meaning itself. In a world dominated by media spin, political rhetoric, and digital illusions, de Man's warning remains urgent: never trust words too easily. Reading is not passive. It is an act of resistance, an engagement with the hidden forces that shape meaning itself. Paul de Man does not give us certainty, he gives us skepticism. He forces us to ask, do we read texts, or do they read us? And in the endless play of language, can we ever truly see clearly?